Welcome, everybody, to the City of Farmers Branch City Council meeting for Tuesday, March 4th. Our first order of business this evening will be our invocation and pledges. Our invocation this evening is going to be led by Dr. Paul Lundquist.
Please join me in prayer if you would. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for the many blessings that you bestowed upon us. We thank you for this wonderful city, Farmers Branch, which we call home. We pray for our leaders in the city tonight as we deliberate the things of the city and the decisions that they make. Give them wisdom and give them courage to move in the right direction. We thank you for this time and we ask you to bless it. In Christ's name, amen.
And if you would, please join me in our pledges. First, our pledge to the United States. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the Texas pledge. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. All right, we have several ceremonial items this evening to take care of. The first of which is our presentation of the Employee of the Year Award. So tonight, we're gathered here to recognize our first Employee of the Year Award recipient, Bianca Van Horn from Human Resources. Unfortunately, Bianca is sick today. So I said, well, let's postpone it. And she wanted us to go ahead. So I'm going to read a little bit, and then I'm going to have Jeff speak also. So Bianca started with the city in March of 2022 as an HR analyst, primarily overseeing benefits and compensation. During her tenure, she provided much needed education and a personal touch to employees and retirees so they could better understand their benefits. In addition, she takes great care in coordinating monthly wellness and retirement seminars for employees to learn about how to improve their quality of life, health, and wealth. Bianca's exceptional contribution reflects her unwavering commitment to our organization, our employees, and our community. Bianca's past year highlights a remarkable record of achievement in areas that define what it means to be a caring and effective public servant. And if she was here, I would say, Bianca, your work makes a difference every day. Her work does make a difference every day because people want to get paid. And we're deeply grateful for all that she does. I'd like to thank her on behalf of the City Council for her commitment to excellence, and congratulations on being the first to receive the honor of Employee of the Year for 2024. So we have this beautiful award for her.
I'm a little afraid to take it out. Might drop it, break it. It's not my thing to break. So my name is Jeffrey Ross. I'm the Director of Human Resources for the City of Farmers Branch. And I always get very hyped up to get to talk about the great things that our staff do and that our employees are doing on a day-to-day basis. Even more so when it's a human resources employee, right? So Bianca works in human resources. She's our benefits and compensation analyst. And in addition to that, when we had some turnover in our payroll position back in October, She willingly, without being asked, willingly said, I'll take that over so that we can continue business as usual and pay our employees. So fast forward a little bit, she's doing essentially two jobs at once. She's handling benefits for us. It's open enrollment time. It's a week before Christmas. She starts to process payroll. The entire system crashes. A full cataclysmic event where just nothing will work. So at this point, Bianca has no choice. She takes it upon herself and she says, I'm going to go one by one, employee by employee, hour by hour, and enter them manually. And so she worked through the night. And because of that, maybe we'll have a TV special this Christmas about how Bianca saved Christmas. So it was truly a remarkable effort, but it's only one in just such a remarkable career that she's had here with the City of Farmers Branch. And we look forward to hopefully many, many more with her. So she couldn't be here tonight, and she's real bummed about that, but I'm sure she's watching. So from everybody, Bianca, thank you so much for what you do. And we can't wait for you to come back.
All righty. Next up is item G2, which is to recognize the Rotary Club of Carrollton Farmers Branch for their donation towards the purchase of playground equipment and approve resolution number 2025-024, accepting the donation in the amount of $40,000 to contribute towards the city's purchase of an inclusive We Go Round playground at Gussie Field Waterworth Park and take appropriate action.
Mayor, I'm Robert Diaz, Parks and Rec Director. I just want to thank, I'm going to introduce Scott Smith with the Rotary Club and let him introduce his team and let him do his presentation to the city.
Thank you, Robert. Mayor, members of the council, city manager, citizens of Farmers Branch and guests. 10 years ago, the Rotary Club of Carrollton Farmers Branch made a commitment to work with the city of Farmers Branch and the city of Carrollton to develop some playground equipment for kids with accessibility issues that just didn't exist at the time. And our first location for doing such a thing was right here at Gussie Field Waterworth Park, which it brings smiles to our faces every time we drive by and see that these places are being heavily used. The idea was that we weren't just going to build equipment that kids with accessibility issues could enjoy, but it was going to be so attractive and magnetic that their siblings and other friends would want to be there with them, and they didn't have a segregated playground. And that has worked as we had hoped it would. The next playground that we did was in Carrollton at Rosemead Park. And at the end of that planning period, a new piece of equipment that wasn't available when we did the work here became available. And it's called a We Go Round. And someone's got a picture of it right over here. And it's an accessible merry-go-round that is at grade with extremely tight tolerances between the merry-go-round and the ground so that kids in wheelchairs can access it, get on and off very safely. And it's heavily used there. And we just had a commitment to come back here and put one of them here in this park. So that's why we're here tonight, to make a $40,000 donation to contribute to this partnership that we've had for a long period of time. And we just want to thank the city of Farmers Branch for being such a great partner, for being able to help us add some additional second level sorts of facilities that might not have happened otherwise. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Villafranca, and I'm the current president of the Carrollton Farmers Branch Rotary Club. We are so happy and so honored and so thankful to be here. Rotary International is one of the largest service organizations in the world. We provide service to others, promote integrity, and advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through fellowship of business, professional, and community leaders. Rotary is a non-political and non-religious organization. Thank you to all of our Rotarians for all of their work in bringing this important work of inclusivity to fruition. And thank you to Rotarians Matt Winthold, Scott Smith, Mark Sutherland, Paul Longquist, Bill Bexley, Amy Nelson, and of course, John Dodd for being here tonight. This work has led me to pursuing other leadership opportunities, and I'm so looking forward to continuing to serve the community in other capacities. We meet every Thursday at noon at Brookhaven Country Club, and we invite all of you to join. Thank you so much. Oh my God, how could I forget? Ben Williamson is one of our Rotarians too. Thank you to Ben. Thank you.
She gonna get a picture first?
Yeah.
Get in here.
Again, thank you all so much for this most generous donation. Thank you. Next up is item G3, which is presentation of a proclamation designating February 15th through 22nd, 2025 as National FFA Week. We're a little late on this, but sometimes better late than never. So this is a proclamation from the Office of the Mayor. Whereas FFA and agricultural education provide a strong foundation for the youth of America and the future of food, fiber, and natural resource systems, and whereas FFA promotes premier leadership, personal growth, and career success among its members, and whereas agricultural education and FFA ensure that there is a steady supply of young professionals to meet the growing needs in the science, business, and technology of agriculture, and whereas the FFA motto, learning to do, doing to learn, earning to live, living to serve, gives direction and purpose to those students who take an active role in succeeding in agricultural education. And whereas FFA promotes citizenship, volunteerism, patriotism, and cooperation. Now, therefore, I, Terry Lynn, Mayor of the City of Farmers Branch, do hereby designate the week of February 15th through the 22nd, 2025 as National FFA Week. So, oh, I didn't know y'all were here. I'm sorry, I didn't know y'all were here. So good to see you. Y'all want to say something?
I can say something. Hello, everyone. I'm Madison Nguyen. I am the agriculture teacher and FFA advisor at Branchview High School. Although we're at Branchview, we do represent CFB ISD as a whole, and that includes R.L. Turner's wonderful program, FFA program as well. We just want to say, although we're newish to the community as an agriculture program, that we are seeking to become involved with our communities. So just know that whether you need floral design needs, because we do have a floral design program, or you just need a volunteering hand, our FFA students are fantastic and they are just hungry to serve the community and be involved and learn hands-on experiences. So just know that we have some great servant leaders out here that really want to help you out and that want to be part of it, because although it's a student-led organization, for those of y'all who know FFA, it is also something that we need the community in order for us to grow as well. So we really appreciate this opportunity, y'all just giving us a warm welcome at, as a high school and an agriculture program to your to Farmers Branch, and on behalf of R.L. Turner and also Ranchview, we greatly appreciate everything you do. Thank you, guys.
And next up is item G4, presentation from the DFW Directors Association 2024 Award to Gateway to the Globe, a multicultural celebration for arts and entertainment.
Robert Diaz again, Parks and Rec Director. We are here to just kind of let everyone know that we did the events team, and let me get them up here. Jocelyn Avina, come on. Come on. Jocelyn Avina is our events manager and her team. They're preparing for this year's Gateway to the Globe event, and that went ahead and submitted the event for last year as part of the recognition process for the DFW Directors Award, and we got that a couple weeks ago. And so we just wanted to bring it forth to have council and mayor just to be recognized. And I'll let Jocelyn, you have any words you want to pass on? But I appreciate her and her team, and they're getting ready for this event, March 29th, Gateway to the Globe coming up. And we have actually some members from the committee that was from last year, and we appreciate all of you that were able to come and see this recognition. And I'll just turn it over to the mayor.
So as Robert said, March 29th, 3 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Historical Park. Free event. Please come. It'll be a lot of fun. Last year was a great event. So much great entertainment from really all around the world. So I would encourage everybody to come on out and enjoy it. The committee that put together last year's event did a fantastic job. I think this year is going to be even bigger and better. So please put it on your calendar. We'd love to see you there. Thank you. Yes. So council, item G2 was marked for action. So
Mayor, I make a motion to approve resolution number R 2025-024.
thank you very much. We have a motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. If you would, please indicate your vote accordingly. Motion passes unanimously. And again, thank you all. Thank the Rotary very, very much. We appreciate it. So next up are our items of community interest.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Good evening, audience. Items of community interest this include that property owners can hear from the experts. Farmers Branch property owners are invited to a Property Tax 101 workshop with the Dallas County Tax Office in Dallas Central Appraisal District this Thursday, March the 6th. Representatives from both agencies will be on site to speak with property owners and present information on the Texas property tax system, how and when to protest your property valuation, and how and when to pay your property taxes. As they talked about earlier, the Gateway to the Globe. This is a great, we want you to save the date for the city's multicultural celebration. Explore some fascinating cultures and learn more about rich traditions at the city's Gateway to the Globe event on Saturday, March 29th from 3 to 10 p.m. at the Farmers Branch Historical Park. This free event will feature an international marketplace with exhibits, food trucks, and live performances, as well as activities in the kids zone. So be sure to visit farmersbranchevents.com for more information. The shredding event returns to City Hall 3 times each year. Farmers Branch residents are invited to take advantage of a free shredding event hosted by Farmers Branch Sustainability and Public Health. Now, residents can securely discard household documents that are free from binders, clips.
These are two. This is the first.
From 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. right here in City Hall. And finally, if you want to stay informed about Halloween, happens to be Farmers Branch, we invite you to sign up for city e-news at farmersbranchtx.gov, or you can scan the QR code on the screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So next up is citizen comment, and uh, I know a lot of folks signed up here to speak on item L2. You will have that opportunity when we get to that point in our meeting. This is general citizen comments, and our first speaker, or let me just read before we get into that. I just want to remind everyone that these city council meetings are a limited forum focused on conducting city business, including public observation and respectful discourse on matters important to our community. We have adopted rules of procedure and decorum that apply to all persons who speak during these meetings. These rules are also available on the city's website. We value public input and encourage residents to share their concerns with us, but this council will not tolerate disruptive behavior by members of the public in this chamber, especially when that behavior is intended to discriminate against, defame, intimidate, or personally attack any member or group of people. So, when I call your name, if you would please come up. Note that there's a 3-minute time limit for each citizen to speak. When you come up to the podium, you will state your name and address. And our first speaker is Seema Chiragosha. I hope I didn't butcher that too bad. Seema Chiragosha. Okay. Rick Johnson.
Mayor, council members, city manager, Rick Johnson, 2930 Harley, Farmers Branch, Texas. I came here tonight to speak about a couple of things. The first one is, after it falling upon deaf ears now for over a year, we have lots of things for everybody in the city, but we still have no youth football. Football is the biggest sport in the state of Texas, and we have no feeder program for our schools. They go and get the hell beat out of them because they don't have nothing, and we're not doing anything about it. You know, it got taken out, disbanded, and everything else for many reasons, but mostly to make a dog park. We see volleyball courts go up, we see more soccer fields go up, we see everything else, but that's a whole segment of our youth that you guys are completely ignoring. That's not good. That's not fair. You know, they want to participate too. And idle hands don't make for good things. We all know that. The other thing is we would sure like to know more about the lead and copper revision and all the pipes we're going to have to replace at some point. That's going to cost us a lot of money. So, you know, and then what has it done to our water? You know, why can't we get a report on all of this stuff? Transparency is important. A lot of people ran on that. And, you know, some have done a very good job, and I compliment that. Others have failed. And it even appears like maybe some of them just don't want to deal with the issue. So it's important to us as city, the citizens who pay the taxes, and the quality of living here. And I think that's kind of what you guys are supposed to be about, is it not? So once again, put these things on future agendas. Let's try to fix these problems instead of shoving them under the rug. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Rinkesh Desai.
Mayor, City Council, thank you so much for the service that you guys do. You're leading the way in terms of what we need to do.
Name and address.
Sorry. Rink Desai, 1753 Hanover Court, Farmers Branch, 75234. So first of all, let me again say thank you to City Council member as well as Mayor. You guys are doing a service to the city and fellow residents for being here and being a participant of our City Council meeting today. I'm here because of the future of Farmers Branch, a future built in unity, leadership, and shared vision for progress. But today I stand before you with some concerns. Our City Council should be a place where ideas are debated with respect, as you mentioned earlier, in terms of how people are coming up and speaking. But the differences should lead to a better solution and where decisions reflect the best interests of our community. Unfortunately, that has not always been the case. This dysfunction we've seen, whether it's a personal conflict within one another or it's stalled progress, a lack of collaboration has held our city back. When leadership is divided, our residents and business pay the price. Farmers Branch deserves better. We need leadership that rises above division, that listens to every voice, and that works towards solution instead of deepening our divides. Our residents want a city government that functions with transparency, accountability, and focus on results, not a personal agenda. It's time to restore that trust in our leadership. It's time to bring Farmers Branch together, residents, business, community leaders, to work towards a shared vision. That means investing in smart growth, ensuring fiscal responsibility, and making sure our neighborhoods feel heard and valued. I ask this council to lead by example, to set aside the differences, and put the people of Farmers Branch first. And to our residents, I urge you to stay engaged, to demand accountability, and be part of shaping the future of our city. Farmers Branch has so much potential. We should be thriving, united community. Let's not waste it. Thank you.
Thank you. That is all the speakers I have on this portion of public comment. So our next item of business will be our consent agenda. There is one modification on the consent agenda. Item, excuse me. Item J7 is going to be moved to the regular agenda, and it will become L3, item L3. So J7 becomes L3. All right. I will entertain motion for the consent agenda with that modification.
Mayor, make a motion to approve the consent agenda with the modification to move J7 to L3.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. If you would indicate your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next up is item L1. Consider approving resolution 2025-026, authorizing the purchase and installation of a playground system from Playwell Group Incorporated through the Byboard Cooperative Purchasing Program for use at the city's Dutch Village Park in the amount of $549,175 and take appropriate action.
Good evening, council members. Good evening, Mayor. My name is Tara Bradley, Parks Planner with Parks and Recreation. And tonight we'll be discussing Dutch Village Park Playground Replacement. This item was brought before you on February 4th, 2025. And when we discussed it with you, it was about public outreach and the projected costs. Tonight, we're bringing back forward this item to approve a resolution for the cost of the playground. To provide a quick background of this project, the playground was burned down on January 21st, 2024. We started the public outreach in November 2024 and then brought it back on February 4th here. So we are here to approve the resolution. What is being proposed for the park amenities is the playground for the 2 to 5-year-olds and then 5 to 12-year-olds. And then also a new sidewalk will be installed. Sensory walls will also be added to the playground, and then a new 14 by 20 pavilion size pavilion will be added. Now with that, the projected cost that this playground will cost for just the equipment only, it's going to be $549,175. And for the total overall with the sidewalk and the playground installed, it's going to be $634,175. Now, because the playground was burned down to the ground, it will have an insurance reimbursement that will be contributed to the funding of this park. The remaining balance will be with CIP funds. So as of right now, even though there is an update on the insurance reimbursement, we have in the resolution and through this document that was provided to you that it was at $180,000 was the insurance reimbursement, and the city would contribute $454,175 for the total from city funds. Now, we will be utilizing the buy board process, going through that because it does streamline the process of bidding, doesn't require to have a RFP, and it also it gives you a list of vendors as well to vet through that process. Now, we did select Playwell, which will be installing the playground, delivering the playground, pouring in the PIP pour in place as well. And we plan to do this by March. We'll finalize the financial packet first and then move forward with installing the playground during the summer 2025. And those are our tentative schedule. That concludes the presentation. If you have any questions, I'm available. We also have Mark Moffett here as well, Park Superintendent, that's available for any questions as well too.
Thank you very much. This is in District 5, so I'm going to start with.
It's my district.
Oh, redistricting. Councilwoman, I'm sorry. You can lead this.
So is that, I mean, we've seen this a couple of times. Is that all of the insurance money that we get back, or will there be, after it's installed and reassessed, will there be any differential?
There will be a difference as that we have found out recently that we've gotten back new numbers. So
Park Superintendent. Yesterday afternoon, or excuse me, Friday afternoon, we just got the last figures in. It's right at
262.
Yes, 262. There was a, the original was at 180,000, 175,000. They came back and with that, they're going to do a complete cost of it for 262,500.
Okay. And the basketball court, it will still remain there, correct?
Yes, the basketball court will remain there, but we're going to redo it.
Okay.
We'll do that internally.
That's all.
Sorry about that. Councilman Roman?
I'm good. Thank you.
Councilman Reed? Councilman Jackson?
So at first glance, this is really more for the benefit of residents that are watching and here tonight. It's kind of a big number for park equipment, but this is substantially more, and it's an upgrade. It's a big upgrade from what was there before, destroyed by the fire, right? I do note that about $155,000, rounded $150,000 of the $634,000 figure, actually it's of the $550,000 number, is all installation costs. So you have installation of a pavilion at $29,000, and the pavilion itself costs $30,000. Seems like a lot, and it seems like we had this conversation perhaps once before about the cost of the installation. So is there some insight on that particular item there?
Are you referring to the shade structure or are you referring to the icon shelter?
Well, the pavilion, there's a 14 by 20 pavilion for $30,000. And then there's installation of that pavilion for $29,000.
Yes, sir. The $20,000 is for the shelter kit. The other $24,000 is for the concrete beams, everything that goes into making that to the city specs and the installation of it.
Okay, so the 20,000 you're referring to this shade structure?
Yes, sir. That is the shelter itself. That's a kit that comes together.
Right, and that's part of the overall cost of the shade structure.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. But I'm just wondering, why is it costing the pavilion almost the same as what to install it, the same as what the pavilion itself costs?
I couldn't really tell you that because I'm not the company. I will tell you that the square footage for the total park, to do the whole park, if you break down the square footage of everything, runs right at $128.76 a square foot for the whole playground everything assembled together.
Okay.
I do see your concern with the install fee.
Well, I mean, it costs what it costs, and we took this through by board, and so
Yes,
we've
sir.
gotten bids, and we're all good there.
Yes, sir.
I just wonder, was there something special about the installation that causes the installation to be practically the same cost as the material itself?
I would agree.
Yeah.
Would you like for me to bring our salesperson here up to maybe be able to clarify that a little bit more?
I think that'd be great. Yeah.
Okay. This is Frank Zamora with Playwell.
Okay.
Hello, Frank
Great.
Zamora with the Playwell Group. Thank you for having me here.
Sure.
So for the pavilion, the icon shelter itself, part of that installation cost is for the piers that we have to set up, put the anchor bolts in for the shelter itself, but then also the concrete pad. So our company is also installing a concrete pad that has a specialized pad to make sure that, it reduces or completely eliminates any of the sinking, after heavy rains or anything like that. Plus that covers any of the inspections for the city when it comes to permitting costs, everything like that as well.
And so there's what, 4 piers?
Four piers for that one. Yes, sir.
4 piers. How deep are the piers?
I'd have to pull up the specs on that, but I think typically for this particular shelter to withstand the wind loads that they expect in the area, I believe they're at 9 feet, if I'm not mistaken, and then they have the anchor bolts through there. But I can't remember if we did a full spread footer. I have to look it over. A spread footer would be the same thing. It's just a massive cube of concrete that goes down for each one with those anchor bolts that come up, and then each one of those posts is connected to that
Okay,
as well.
so there's the cost. It's the piers.
Yes, sir.
If we have
That's a
wind-
large portion of it. Yes, sir.
If we have winds like we have today, we want those piers to be deep in the ground.
Yes, sir.
Right. Okay. All right. Very good. That answers my question. Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Neal.
I too, like Councilman Jackson, seem to feel that this is a quite expensive project, and I'm wondering if we are addressing our wants versus our needs. As I look at that earlier diagram before the burn, it seemed much more simple. And I know we're upgrading this, but do we really need to upgrade it to this level? I mean, $634,000 is quite expensive in my taste.
The original price for install 20 years ago was $175,000. With this comes the new shelter. It also comes, instead of it having wood firebar, that's what they call it. That is the fall zone material. This is going to be a rubber material that stays. It doesn't deteriorate and have to replenish every year. We're also putting a shade structure. It's a 50 by 60 shade structure over the playground, which will help the integrity of the playground where it doesn't break down the plastic parts.
Yeah, it just seems quite expensive. I'm looking at the square foot price of $212 per square foot. It's pretty high in my consideration. So I just question the overall costs and wants versus needs issue here. So I'm not quite in favor of this plan as it's presented here, just because of the costs being so high.
When we broke this down so that everybody could understand a little bit more, the actual icon shelter is what breaks out at $212. The shade structure actually breaks out to $22 a square foot. And this is when we start breaking down the prices. But overall, the whole amount that is done for the full square footage is where that breaks down to the whole square footage, everything complete at that $128.76 a square foot.
All right. Thank you. That's all I had, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson.
One more question. What's the lifespan we're projecting for the new park?
Normally, the life expectancy of a playground, you normally would want to put it about every 15 to 20, depending on with the way that things are and the way that the funding comes. It's normally about 20 to 30 years.
Okay.
And that's one of the reasons we want that shade structure over it, so it will extend the life of the playground and the materials.
Okay. Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anything else? Seeing none. This item is marked for action.
Mayor, I make a motion that we approve agenda item R2025-026.
I second the motion.
Thank you. We have motion and second. Motion passes. Thank you very much. Okay. Next up is item L2. Consider approving resolution 2025-045, approving a calendar of events for recognition by the City Council and take appropriate action. Oh. Okay, staff, presentation on this. Okay, should I just go to Council one? So Councilman Roman, you had requested that this be brought up. So we will start any discussion on your end.
I think I'd like to hear from citizen comments first. I don't have any comments at this time.
Okay. I'm going to go through comments and then we'll entertain that. Councilwoman Bennett?
After citizen comments.
Okay. Councilman Reed? Councilman Jackson, any comments before citizen comment?
Is staff going to present? We have a council presentation attached to the.
We can have the slides brought forward real quick if that's what council would like, but it's a council driven item. So we're looking for direction on council on that one.
I mean, I would suggest that we get the presentation, that staff do the presentation, and then
yep.
I'd be fine with the citizens' comments following that.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and run through that also. So.
All right. Stacy, would you come up and help with the presentation, please?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Stacey Henderson, Director of Administrative Services, City Secretary. Tonight we are discussing the calendar that was proposed for Council to consider as part of cultural celebrations and events. Currently, we have proclamation guidelines set forth, but we don't have a particular calendar that we recognize. So this was brought forward for Council consideration. Some items on the calendar were considered to be a proclamation, and some were considered to be just a social media post. And those were designated just by different colors within the calendar. And so per our meeting, our last meeting, there was a direction given to add a few items such as St. Patrick's Day, Mother's Day, Father's Day, Hispanic Heritage Month. And so those items were added to the calendar. And so from there, we'll take direction as to whether you would like to accept this calendar or have any amendments or just table that for further consideration.
Councilman Neal, I stopped short of you.
It's fine. I wanted to hear the presentation and citizen comments as well.
You do have a number of folks that have signed up to speak to this issue this evening. So when I call your name, please come up to the podium. You'll have 3 minutes. When the light on the podium turns red and you hear the tone, that is your cue to stop. I will also, if you don't stop, I will cut you off. I do want to remind everybody about our rules of decorum. And so with that, our first speaker will be Martha Palmer.
Good evening.
Name and address.
And thank you for the opportunity to speak. I just wanted to give my full
name and address.
Pardon?
State your name and
I'm
address.
sorry,
That's
Martha Palmer, 2618 Danny Lane.
Thank you.
Yes. I just want to give my full support to having Gay Pride Month included on the Farmers Branch events calendar. The gay community deserves recognition for their many contributions to our city, and I think Gay Pride gives them that chance. And it's especially important at a time when organized groups are trying to push them to the margins of society. I 100% endorse Gay Pride Month, and I hope the City Council will do the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you. Folks, I'm gonna ask that everybody hold their applause for or against. Hold your applause. This is a business meeting. We got to get through this. Next up is James Palmer. James Palmer. Jeff Caraway. Jeff Caraway. Benny De La Vega.
Hello, City Council. How are you? Okay.
Benny, pull that mic up so we can
Yes,
hear
sir.
you.
Yes,
Thank
sir. We're good?
Yeah.
Awesome. Good evening to the City Council. My name is Benny De La Vega. I'm a 25-year resident of the city, and I live on 3322 Pine Tree Circle. You'll probably hear some voices this evening for people that are wanting to vote against having Pride festivals or Gay Pride Month. I'm going to come up here and say that I support having Gay Pride Month and Pride festivals. So I have been here long enough to remember the acrimony Farmers Branch experienced during the rental issues. I'm sure you all remember that. But imagine opening your phone or newspaper and reading the headlines, Farmers Branch is a city of hate again. Are those the headlines you guys want? I don't. Well, that will be the headline if you give in to some of the bigoted views of a few. And let's admit, yes, they are out there. And let's call it for what it is. Excluding a select group of people based on their beliefs is by definition a bigoted view. Or by including Pride Month in the Farmers Branch proclamations, you can vote to recognize all citizens regardless of their beliefs. Why? Because regardless of their beliefs, all citizens of the city pay taxes and contribute to this city. Because regardless of their beliefs, those same citizens and everyone else who visits Farmers Branch spend their money in our city. And because regardless of their beliefs, those citizens vote and they live in your district. Lastly, because Farmers Branch citizens care for your children, they prepare and serve your food, they pick up your trash, they serve and protect your streets, and regardless of their beliefs, we are here. Therefore, I urge the City Council to include Pride Month so as to move forward. Because hasn't the world moved forward? Except for those few who cling to outdated prejudices of a past era, haven't we all moved on from that? Because excluding people is the view of a dying era. Embracing everyone is the future. So, let the city proclaim Pride Month along with all other celebrations and have Farmers Branch be known for moving forward, not back. Thank you very much for your consideration. Have a good evening, everyone.
Thank you. Next up is Kirk Manley. Kirk Manley.
I'm Kirk Manley. I live at 2936 South Sunback Circle. I will make this very short and sweet. I support Pride Month being on the calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Lockett Manley.
It's a family affair here. My name is Lockett Manley. I live at 2936 South Sunbeck Circle. I'm fairly short here too. It is fitting for a city to acknowledge accomplishments and sacrifices, to make proclamations and bring attention to issues and peoples who might otherwise go unrecognized. This year's proposed calendar events includes the designation of awareness months to acknowledge the accomplishments, sacrifices, and contributions of groups that our society has often overlooked, ignored, and even persecuted. I'm pleased to see months in the city calendar designated for the awareness of Black and women's history, Asian American, Pacific Islander heritage, Hispanic heritage, and Native American heritage, and a month to celebrate Pride for our LGBTQ friends and neighbors. I'm disappointed to hear fellow citizens are attacking others in the community using religion as a pretext. The city should not make decisions based on the religious views of a few, as we are not a theocracy, and shouldn't make policy decisions based on a few passages from a 2,000-year-old manuscript. All citizens should be welcome here, and the proposed calendar would help make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Sherry Collier.
My name is Sherry Collier. I live at 3165 Golden Oak in Farmers Branch, and I'm here speaking on behalf of those who are opposed to having a recognition of Pride Month or celebratory events because, unfortunately, as a Christian, we are told in the Bible that we are not to engage in celebrating things that are contrary to God's word. So I would like to voice my opinion and my desire that we do not acknowledge that particular event. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Marissa Pogar.
Hello, I'm Marisa Pogar, 14246 Shoredale. I want to thank you for this opportunity to speak. John 13:34 through 35, New International Version says, "A new command I give you, love one another. As I have loved you, so you must love one another. By this everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another." I am part of the ever-growing and changing queer community. Perhaps you know it as LGB, LGBT, LGBTQ, LGBTQI, LGBTQIA, LGBTQIA+. As you can see, it's gone through a lot of change. While I'm a part of a relatively misunderstood category, A for asexual, it's still who I am, and it took a long time to realize. Without the actions of the queer community, I very well may have never understood this about myself and continued living believing there was something wrong with me. I am proud of who I am. Celebrating the diversity of ourselves and others, whether it is for Black, Asian American, Native American, Hispanic heritage, or any of the vastly different backgrounds of our citizens, is a wonderful opportunity to grow and learn. And I am 100% behind having it acknowledged in our great city. I fully support the resolution for a calendar of events, including Pride Month. That being said, I don't believe that religion, any religion, should be a part of government. This country's constitution agrees. Unfortunately, people are adamant that their beliefs must be involved in government decisions, even city-run celebrations. I am disgusted by the viciously mean-spirited and hate-filled letter that was mailed out by Precinct Chair Brenda Broderick about fighting against Pride Month in an effort to prove what it means to be a Christian. Our country is currently experiencing a lot of hate, and many are hiding behind their beliefs to back it up. This country, including this city, is a wonderful mix of diversity, and nobody should be stopped from celebrating who they are, especially when it's the way they were born. They can, however, change the way they treat others. Jesus said, "Everyone will know that you are my disciples if you love one another." Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Randy Jordan.
Okay, Randy Jordan, 3000 Marigold. That's in Fort Worth. If you look at the Declaration, the Constitution, Federalist Papers, founding fathers, you'll understand that they started this nation on biblical principle. In fact, the Greek word for church, ecclesia, is a governing body. And it's been a failure of the church, actually, that they haven't taken a more active role in things. Is there a God? Yeah, we acknowledge it, we pray, this, that, and the other. What's the authority? When Jesus was tempted, he said, he didn't say, I'm the Messiah. He didn't say, I never sinned. He said, it is written. If it's good enough for him, it should be good enough for us. Now, any objective reading of the New Testament, Old Testament, you'll find out there's blessings and curses. If you obey or disobey, it is written. Now, what does it is written say? God is opposed to the proud. We should not have proud month. It also says that God does not like homosexuality because it hurts you. And God doesn't want us to hurt. He's trying to help us. Now, there's a lot of things in the Bible that will hurt you. And that's just one of them. This one we happen to be talking about. I have a background in all this stuff. I got stories. I haven't got time to tell them. Okay, but I'm familiar with both sides of this issue. And I have to go by, the piece I've got right now. Now, if you know what it is written and you don't do it, you'll bring a curse on yourself. Not God, not me, not the Bible. You'll do it to yourself. So I urge you, stay with biblical principles that this country was founded on. The Bible says it's wrong is wrong. Leave it alone.
Thank you very much. Next up is Terry Phillips. Terry Phillips.
My name's Terry Phillips, and I live at 2963 North Sunbeck Circle. We've lived there about 15 years, my wife and I. The most important thing in a community is that its members live together in peace and harmony despite their differences. A diverse community is a healthy community. A strong community is one in which all have a voice, and in sharing, its members learn from one another and learn to respect one another. I don't care if Farmers Branch decides to have pride observances or not. I think it's a good idea, but I'm not real attached to that. What I do care about is, as a responsible tax-paying member of this community, is that a neighbor is not given license to marginalize me as a person, is not given a platform to incite hate by rounding up other neighbors to invalidate me, my marriage, my friends, or any other group with whom they disagree. I agree that the proposed resolution 2025-045, if approved by the City Council, will foster a sense of community. These events will offer an opportunity to make all marginalized members feel appreciated, and it will help them feel as though they're important and contributing members of this community. This sense of pride would do nothing but help our community as a whole, because when people look for a place to buy a home, a place to raise their children, they're drawn to a community where they will feel welcome and valued. And I would like to think that Farmers Branch, my community, is one of these. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Alicia Runeau. There.
Hi, my name is Alicia Renaud. I live at 13620 Stardust Lane. And am I to understand this is more of a race cultural event? Not so much about gay pride, but more of a like Hispanic and Black oriented, or just celebrating different diversities of ethnic races. And I don't believe that our sexual preferences is an ethnic belief system. So that's why I'm against it. Has nothing to do with religion, but it has something to do with how it's categorized. And if this is a family thing, I think that it's more to learn about what is going on in our culture. If it's about ethnicity, I think that we should, I'm a bit nervous here. I think we should just include more ethnic cultures. I'm French. You know, why can't we do something about, you know, more different cultures instead of just basing it on sexual preferences? That's all I have to say.
Thank you very much. Next up is Brenda Broderick.
Good evening. My name is Brenda Broderick. I live at 13531 Rawhide Parkway. First, I'll speak for Sharon Prather, who cannot be here, Floyd and Sharon, at 3065 Amber. They say we don't need to be celebrating any of these. Do we celebrate Caucasian Month? So that's from Floyd and Sharon. All right, this is a moral issue. We have to bring God into the picture. So what does God say? And what does God think? And what does God feel about this? He says, I call heaven and earth to record this day that I have set before you life and death, blessing and cursing. Therefore choose life, that both you and your seed, in this case, your city, may live. It's a choice that you have to make tonight, and you will call down the blessings of God or the curses of God. It's a heavy decision. It's in the beginning, God created man, and then he took a rib out of man and made a woman out of her. And he said, it is not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper for him. The rib which the Lord God had taken from the man, he made a woman and brought her unto the man. Adam said, this is bone of my bone, flesh of my flesh. She shall be called woman because she was taken out of the man. Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother and shall cleave unto his wife. And they shall be one flesh. And they were naked, the man and his wife, and were not ashamed. If you get married, a man and a woman, and they have a celebration, they're not ashamed. There's no shame. There's no guilt. It's beautiful. It's the way God intended it. We should celebrate what God put together, man and woman. That's what we should celebrate because that's what God celebrates. And that's what God says in Hebrews 13:4, marriage is honorable. Also, the undefiled bed is honorable, but whoremongers and adulterers God will judge. It's not what I said. It's what the writer Paul said. And then what are men supposed to do? They love their wife, even as Jesus loves the church. So ought men to love their wives as their own bodies. He who loves his wife loves himself. Again, this is New Testament. For this cause a man shall leave his father and mother and shall be joined to his wife, and they two shall be one flesh. Let every one of you in particular love his wife, even as himself, and the wife see that she reverence her husband. So I'm asking you not to go with this. We do not want a curse upon Farmers Branch. We do not. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up is Jennifer Evans.
Hello, Council. My name is Jennifer Evans, 3047 Randy Lane. Can you hear me?
Hold on. Start over. Give her time back. Sorry about that.
Hello, Council. I'm Jennifer Evans, 3047 Randy Lane. Just wanted to say a mark of emotional maturity is hearing disagreement without taking offense. You're not being asked to change your beliefs or religion. You're being asked to let people make their own decisions about their love, their beliefs, their religions, their bodies, and so on. It does not affect you. If you truly believe it is wrong, then let whoever or whatever you believe in judge them and worry about your own judgment instead.
Thank you. Next up is Terry Anderson.
Terry Anderson, 2644 Mount View Farms Branch. Mayor and City Council, there are only two natural divisions of humanity, male and female. All other divisions are arbitrary and contrived. Our nation's history of slavery should remind us that the classification of groups of human beings can lead to tragedy. Let this City Council resist the darker impulse of mankind that work to separate us and never again use the identity of a particular group for special recognition. Artificially contrived subgroups should set aside pride and reject the imaginary state of separateness that they choose to see themselves. Farmers Branch should not participate in classifying and dividing citizens and only reserve special recognition for individual achievement.
Thank you very much. Next up is Gabby Cosley.
Hi, I'm Gabby Cosley, and I'm at 2812 Maydell Lane. I'm a resident of Farmers Branch and a proud American. I do not cling to a Mexican-American identity, and I do not need or want any recognition of it by the city. I am against proclamations extolling the virtues of any intersectional group and implore our city leaders not to go down that path. These proclamations are inherently divisive because for every group you recognize, another group is aggrieved. We've seen the city alienate people in this manner once before. In 2022, you lit up Farmers Branch marker signs on Josie, yellow and blue, in support of Ukraine. And in doing so, you drove a wedge between the city and its apolitical residents. It's residents of Russian heritage and other backgrounds that incurred attacks that the city decided not to acknowledge in a similar manner. In fact, the very next year, the world witnessed the horrors of October 7th. Yet you did not light up the sign for our allies in Israel. The message received by my Jewish and Israeli friends here in Farmers Branch was that the city cares about Ukrainians, but not about Jews. The same alienation will happen once you start down the path of making proclamations and celebrations of different intersectional groups. If you extol the virtues of Pride Month, you alienate residents of traditional Catholic, Protestant, and Islamic heritage, whose teachings say these behaviors and pride itself are sins. You also alienate many non-religious residents who can no longer support what Pride has become to represent in recent years. It's no longer about people not having to live in the shadows. It has morphed into extreme far-left causes that most people aren't on board with, like teaching children they can be the opposite sex, or that sexualized drag performances and vulgar behavior at parades are appropriate children's entertainment. Americans are tired of this nonsense and long for the return to normalcy of being recognized for what we have in common, not what makes us different. Represent us as residents and as Americans, not as a collection of separate races, heritage, and orientations. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Sarah Burrell Haroop. I hope I said that right.
All right. My name is Sarah Burrell Harrop. I live at 3047 Eric Lane. Thank you, Mayor, City Manager, members for your service and for being here. I am a candidate for Unitarian Universalist Ministry with a particular call to chaplaincy. Now, this this ministry is interfaith. We serve people of any or no faith. And as a chaplain, what I found is identity is multifaceted. Multiple people have multiple aspects to identity, including sexual orientation, gender, identity, religion, language, etc. So many ways. And it's very personal. And in meeting people of different identities, I can enter sacred ground. What Martin Buber called ich und du, I and thou. But you don't need to be a chaplain to enter this sacred ground. You can be a neighbor that is just interested in what makes your neighbor tick. And that's why I'm for this calendar, and specifically for Pride, the inclusion of Pride in this calendar, because it provides the opportunity for us to be together and learn from each other and about each other. As Francis David, who was a ancient Unitarian minister, said, we need not think alike to love alike. We need not be alike to love alike. That's my addition. So I really like this calendar, and it includes ethnic holidays, it includes Christian holidays, it includes other religious holidays, including Muslim and Jewish holidays. And somebody's given a lot of thought to making a very inclusive calendar. And I'd like to see it to stay. And I'm especially happy that it's inclusive and multi-religious, because as a member of a religious minority myself, I don't want to see government in thrall to a particular sectarian position, which is, by the way, not held by all Christians. I have a lot of colleagues who are Christian ministers that have a particular mission with LGBTQ people. We're in a time of great division, and we don't need to be divided as a community. And so I ask you to please just adopt the calendar as it is. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Teresa Edelman.
Hello, my name's Tressa Edelman.
Tressa.
I live at 3020 Rocket Drive in Carrollton, Texas. I can thank you, Council and Mayor, for inviting us here this evening. I cannot find a specific population count for the number of LGBTQ people in Carrollton and Farmers Branch. They don't track in the census. However, according to the Williams Institute at UCLA, there's about 4.1% of the Texas population that identify as LGBTQ. So that tells me about 1,500 people in Farmers Branch are probably LGBTQ, and about 5,000 in Carrollton. We can speculate the economic benefit that 6,500 people contribute to our communities. We can also speculate the social benefit that 6,500 people contribute to our communities. On the flip side, can you also speculate the devastating physical and mental health consequences to our combined 6,500 neighbors if we tell them that their existence is not valid? I'm a family nurse practitioner and soon to be a nurse midwife. I have lived, worked, and shopped in Farmers Branch and Carrollton for the past 37 years. My kids and I have attended Brookhaven College. My kids graduated from CFB ISD. I pay taxes here. I've treated you, your family members, your friends when they were sick. I may have even saved some of your lives. When you took my money at the local coffee shop or at the farmer's market, did you ask me who I slept with? Did you ask me what was in my pants? When I saved your life or your family's member's life doing CPR, did you ask me these questions? No. We came together as a community at those moments. You may cite concern for children, and you may hear that argument. Let's think about the children. Against the city officially celebrating Pride Month, and I challenge that assertion. LGBTQ youth are 4 times more likely to commit suicide. 1.9 million LGBTQ youth a year seriously consider suicide, and at least one attempts it every 45 seconds.
not because of their sexuality.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Next up is Rick Johnson.
Council, City Manager, Mayor, Rick Johnson, 2930 Harley. You listen to all of this, and it somewhat is overwhelming. The thing we got to think about here is what's the responsibility of the city? Well, it's their citizens. It's to provide services. It's to do what's right for the people who live and pay taxes here. With that being said, you hate to see anybody be excluded from anything. And I believe some of this is because there's an election afoot, and some of it's political, jockeying, payback, whatever you want to call it. But at the end of the day, you have to decide what you're willing to include for everybody in the city. You either have to do all or nothing because it's not fair. You're going to discriminate against somebody in some way, and they're not going to feel good about it, right? We had a friend, a very dear friend, who was lesbian. She was older. She used to protest and stuff. She would see people protest. She passed away about 3 years ago. She's quite older. But she would see people protest and she would sit there and she would get mad. And one day I just asked her, I said, "What are you so mad about?" She says, "They're not protesting for what we protested for. We just wanted to be accepted. We wanted to be able to live and have our lives. We didn't want special treatment." But ones today, and there are a lot, who would sit there and use that as a springboard to use it against other things, not what it was really about. So what you got to decide is what this is going to be for Farmers Branch and the people of Farmers Branch. And the point is you have the Hatfields and the McCoys, and they're getting it on right here in front of you. Is this what we want? Do we have time for this? And if we do, include everybody. But just like heterosexual, religious don't particularly care for it, neither gays don't particularly care for other people. And so it's what the world's been created by God. Somebody's going to be hating on somebody all the damn time. And that's just a fact. But you should include everybody if that's what you're going to do and be prepared what that decision brings. And, Mr. Roman, I know you're an openly gay person and stuff, and I feel for you, the position you're in, and you're getting a hit job done on you right now, whether anybody wants to admit it or not. And it's a shame and it's disgusting. And I'm ashamed that people in this town are like that.
Thank you. Next up is Walt Nickel.
Hi, I'm Walt Nickel, 12927 Burning Log. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for City Council for representing and serving us so well. I'm thankful that we're in a community that is open discussion, that we can dialogue like this and be free to share opposite opinions with each other, whether we're sitting around the coffee shop talking about different opposing opinions, or whether we're sitting on the church pew talking about it, or sitting at the local bar. I'm thankful that we can sit around and talk about this and not express things in a hateful way. I don't believe the city needs to be in the business, though, of promoting a gay pride day. I think that there are, as one other fellow citizen said, there are other ethnicities that we're supporting. That's great. But I don't think that we should be in the business of supporting, as a city, supporting a gay pride. I have many friends who are of the LGBT persuasion, and that's fine. They're welcome in my house. I'd be welcome in their house. But as a city, we don't need to be promoting it. And I think it's been stated by other people as well that biblically, if it was just us in the room, we could have a discussion and say, what do you think? What do I think? But we're not the only ones in the room. There is a God. We do recognize in this country that there is a God. We do have to know what he says. So for my friends who are the other persuasion, I'm going to tell them it's not what God's desire is. And I think as a city, we need to stay out of the business of promoting that lifestyle uh, as as normal, because it opposes what God said in the Bible was normal. So thank you all for your time. Thank you for your service. Appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Next up is Andrea Pavia.
Good afternoon, Andrea Pavia Jimenez, 1415 Whittington Place. Diversity and inclusion are more than just words. They are the foundation of a strong, united community. Honoring different cultures and celebrating Pride Month is not just about recognition, it is about respect, understanding, and the power of unity. When we embrace different identities, backgrounds, and experiences, we create a space where everyone feels valued and heard. We cannot allow hate to overpower unity. Disagreements will happen, but respect must always be the bridge that keeps us together. By celebrating Pride Month and cultural heritage, we don't diminish anyone's identity. We strengthen our collective one. Inclusion is not about taking space away from others, it's about making room for everyone. So let's choose unity over division, curiosity over judgment, and respect over resistance. Because when we uplift each other, we all rise together. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Susan Davis.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. My name is Susan Davis, and I live at 13526 Tomfield Road. If I understand correctly, we're discussing having the city make proclamations to honor certain groups of people. Black History Month to honor African American people. Asian American Month to honor Asians. Native American to honor American Indians. Hispanic Heritage Month to honor the Hispanics, and Pride Month to honor the gay, and then post it on social media. To honor your constituents is very honorable, but to be fair and not discriminate, the city would have to recognize all heritages: French American Month, Greek American, German American, Hawaiian American, Italian, and so on. It isn't fair to recognize some and not others. I have lived here in Farmers Branch since 1990, paying my taxes every year. I don't fall in any of the groups you mentioned, and frankly, it makes me mad that we Anglos are left out. A solution could be recognize every resident that lives in Farmers Branch, not just some. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up is Mike McGinnis.
Mike McGinnis, 13220 Glad Acres Drive. First of all, I wanted to congratulate everybody. This is really a nice civil discussion we're having on an emotional issue. And I think everybody's done a good job of having reasoned and well-spoken positions. I didn't bring my notes for much today, so I hope I don't forget any important parts, but that probably means I'll be short. I have 2 points. First point is, I think we should take a step back, look at the big picture as to why we even have this calendar. We have a national calendar of this month and that month. We have a state calendar of this month and that month. Save yourself a whole lot of time and trouble just to echo the state calendar or pick one, because there's other ones out there, and I don't think we really need to duplicate the effort for whatever differences there are in Farmers Branch. The second thing is that a lot of people have come out here today to protest the inclusion of gay pride. And I think that it's a misguided attempt to exclude people. I wouldn't say it's hateful, but I don't think it's right to talk about, to exclude people that are not as of the majority, because people are wired a little bit differently. Autistic people are wired a little differently than most of us. Mentally handicapped people are wired a little bit differently than most of us. And we certainly don't want to cast any aspersions on them. I think wrapping your objections in the Bible is a little bit misguided. You can probably find passages in the Bible to support just about any position you want to take. But I do know that the big messages from the Bible are love one another as I have loved you, treat others as you want them to treat you, and judge not lest you be judged. And somebody before me mentioned in their passage, God will judge. It's not up to us.
Thank you very much. Next up is George Broderick.
Good evening, Council Mayor and Councilman and lawyer. Max Broderick at 13531 Rawhide Parkway in Farmers Branch. Been here for about 28 years. And when I talk to other citizens of this Farmers Branch city, they don't agree with being proud about being a sodomite. It's nothing to be proud of. And God resists the proud anyway. He wants us to humble ourselves under his mighty hand. And he is love. And love gives those that sin a chance to repent. That's the goodness of God. And so, why do we have this on the calendar? Why should it even be on a calendar? It's not city business. It's really moral and church's business. It's nothing to do with the city, I think. There's few particular persons that want their lifestyle to be celebrated, but God does not celebrate it. It's detestable to God. And if you look at history of mankind, you'll see Sodom and Gomorrah went up in smoke. And sodomy laws have been in force in Texas for a number of years. So why do we suddenly have this celebration of pride for the gay people? It's we love the gay people. We love people. God loves people and gives them a chance to repent. That's how much he loves us. And our conscience is cleansed by the blood of our Lord Jesus Christ. And we can face a holy God. But lifestyle that is contrary to God cannot. So we're naturally against this. And God loves everybody. He is love. The very essence of God is love. And he gives everybody a chance to humble themselves under his mighty hand. And then they will be exalted. Thank you very much for letting us talk.
Thank you. Next up is Al Sleece.
Good evening, Mayor Lynn, members of the City Council. I'm Alan Solis. I live at 13243 Glenside Drive. My wife and I have lived here for 27 years. One of the things that we really enjoy about Farmers Branch is it's a family-friendly community. And that's one of the things that we always hope we'll be able to celebrate here. Now, I'm Mexican-American. Most people can't really tell that. And I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm proud of that. I'm a Christian. And a number of my friends here have brought up the idea that, the faith it says that, proclamations homosexuality are wrong. You know what? I don't have to do that. I don't have to. Because having a great gay pride celebration is wrong. It just is wrong. Not so much because those people shouldn't be allowed to be, but because of what it will bring here to Farmers Branch. And it inevitably will result in a gay pride parade. I did some research before I got here. It took me about 10 minutes to put together a slideshow of pictures of what happens with gay pride parades. I'd like the ability to be able to share it with you if I can. So if you don't have the time or the inclination, that's fine. But know this, that you're getting ready to expose our children to vulgar and sexual displays. They're the least, they're the group of individuals that are the least able to defend themselves. I stand for life, period, particularly young children. And that's the one reason that I think you should vote against this. I've never needed anybody to celebrate me being Mexican American. Hey, I'm an American first and foremost. And yes, I'm a Christian, and I celebrate that a lot. But I strongly encourage you to vote against the celebration of Gay Pride Month for this reason. We don't need Gay Pride Parade here. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Next up is Tricia Myers. Tricia Myers. Oh.
Hello, I'm Tricia Myers. Thank you for having me. I wasn't even supposed to be here. I was supposed to work. Oh, thank you. And I'm here. So I didn't prepare anything. I just prayed that God would show me what to do, what to say. And I am against the pride parade, the celebration of the homosexual lifestyle. I love all people. God loves all people. Love has nothing to do with this. I'm not hateful. It's love of me saying to the homosexual as to any sinner, repent. Go back into the closet. Make it a prayer closet. Get right with Jesus. Become born again and come out a new creature in Christ. So this is said in love. I've made mistakes, but Jesus redeemed me. And for you to accept this as acceptable when it's not before God, it's just not. He loves everyone, but it's bringing a curse when you open that door. I'm sorry, it's biblical. I'm just saying what God said. So I am against the pride parade or celebration of pride in any way, shape, or form. And I'll be happy to meet with anyone afterwards to pray with them because I love you all, everyone here. Jesus loves everyone here. But repent, for the kingdom of heaven is nigh. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. The last speaker that I have signed up is Robert. I don't know if it's Courts, COL. I think it's COL. Maybe TZ, I'm not sure. Oops. Who lives on Mount Castle. Somebody needs a little better penmanship. Robert, who lives on Mount Castle. Okay. Well, then, I'm sorry. James Davis.
Good evening, Council, Mr. Mayor. My name is James Davis. I live at 2548 Hearthstone Drive. I am a gay Catholic. I'm also a proud Navy veteran who served this country during the Vietnam War. I've lived in Farmers Branch since 1959, 66 years. When we moved here, I-35 did not exist. I was part of the second graduating class of R.L. Turner High School. I actually knew the Josies, Mr. Clinton, Mr. Don, and their foreman, Mr. Newton. I've also served as a precinct chair and an election judge here in Farmers Branch. The email I received last week had the subject line of Pride Month Proclamation, ? What next, ? Pride Festival in Farmers Branch, ? We can stop this if we show up. This subject line alone just was offensive to me. God made me just like he made everybody else. But I have to let you know that God made variety. Recognize it and live with it. Remember, Jesus lifted up the lowly. He did not dwell among the wealthy and look down on the poor and destitute. He lived with them and for them. So I may say,
Please address the council, not the audience.
go in peace to love and serve the Lord as his example has set.
Thank you very much. That is all the speakers that I've had. I will ask if I missed anybody, but I don't think I did. So uh, it's all the forms I had. So moving on, council, this topic is for discussion. I'll start at my left with Councilman Roman.
Stacy, I do have a question. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page on exactly what is included in this proposed calendar. Would you mind reading off what it is that is included on there so that we're all on the same page?
Yes. So there is a total. You want me to go month by month?
Yeah.
Okay. I may not recognize some of those words. You might have to help me. In January, there are no proclamations proposed. For social media posts, we are proposing New Year's Day, MLK Day, and Lunar New Year. For February, we propose a proclamation for Black History Month, social media posts for President's Day and Ramadan. For March, we are proposing a proclamation for National Women's History Month and social media posts, and please forgive me if I mispronounce these. Olai, is that correct? St. Patrick's Day and Eid al-Fitr. For April, we are proposing no proclamations in April. For social media posts, we are proposing celebrating Diversity Month, Passover, Good Friday, Easter, and Earth Day. For May, we are proposing a proclamation for Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and social media posts for Cinco de Mayo, Mother's Day, Memorial Day, excuse me. In June, we are proposing a proclamation for Pride Month and a social media post for Father's Day and Juneteenth. For July, there are no proclamations proposed. And for social media posts, we are proposing Independence Day and Asherah. In August, there are no proclamations or social media posts proposed. In September, we have no proclamations proposed, social media posts of Labor Day, Patriot Day, and Hispanic Heritage Month. October, we have no proclamations proposed. We have social media posts of Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Indigenous Peoples Day, and Diwali. In November, we have proclamations proposed for Native American Heritage Month and social media posts for De los Muertos, Veterans Day, and Thanksgiving. In December, we have no proclamations proposed, social media posts for Hanukkah, Christmas Day, Kwanzaa, and New Year's Eve.
Thank you, Stacy.
You're welcome.
And I think Hispanic Heritage Month on my list shows as a proclamation. Yeah. Um, I think part of what I'm trying to achieve in bringing forward this calendar is inclusion of the people who live in the city. We are a ever-changing city, and I think it's important that we have an opportunity to recognize the growing diversity. And with that, let me just read some thoughts that I wanted to put together to share with everyone. For a week now, I've struggled with finding the words for tonight's meeting. I later realized that the reason I struggled was because I felt my job was to convince those who disagree with the existence of the LGBTQ plus community that we are good people, real people, with real families and lives, contributing to society just like everyone else. But things became clear when I realized that my job as I sit here on City Council is to represent everyone. Now, I may not agree with everyone's interpretation of the Bible, but I do support you being able to practice your religion freely without fear that you will be retaliated against. In the same vein, people from the LGBTQ plus community are asking for the same, and that is the ability to live their lives freely without fear that they will be retaliated against. The same can be said about every culture or group that is mentioned in our proposed calendar. In the same way that we pray before every council meeting, other communities deserve recognition. In the same way that we celebrate Christmas, other communities also deserve recognition. And in the same way that we sponsor a local prayer breakfast, other communities also deserve recognition. Now, let me be abundantly clear that I'm not asking that we take anything away. I'm asking that we allow more people to sit at our table with us, to experience a fraction of the recognition that other groups experience, because that small amount of recognition means a lot to my neighbors and yours. The truth is that Farmers Branch is a melting pot of different cultures, values, and beliefs. Not one is better, more important, or more relevant than any other. We must find a way to coexist in peace, and proclamations and social media posts help promote this goal. Again, my goal is not to prove you wrong or change your mind, but to remind you that in the same way I support your right to believe what you believe, I am obligated to do the same for others. And with that being said, my vote tonight will be consistent with what I have always believed. And that is we all deserve to be treated equally, no matter what we look like or what we believe. And with that, I'll go ahead and pass it to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councilman. Councilwoman Bennett.
Well, I don't have anything as eloquent as that, but thank you guys for coming out and speaking to us. So I had printed off the proclamation request form that we had been given, and that's online for all of you guys to look at. I'm an all or none person, and I said that during my candidate forum because we cannot pick and choose. And I'm here to represent everybody, not one segment. And you guys come up here, and the interesting part is I heard from so many Christians, and I am one, but no one said anything about excluding any of the other religions, basically. But we sit up here at the beginning of every meeting, and we only pray to one. And I have an issue with that. I've said that previously. I don't think religion should be from the dais. We should have a rotation from the different groups down at the podium because we should include everybody, absolutely everybody. It is all or it is none. To me, this calendar is just a marketing calendar. I'm a business owner and I look at this and I literally at the beginning of every year, I print it off. And when I get bored and can't think of something to post, I go to the calendar and I'm like, okay, that's what we're posting today. And that's just what it is. So I think to a certain degree, it's been way blown out of proportion. Um, it wasn't all just about pride because there are other things in there that people could pick apart. However, with that being said, I have specifically asked for city policies or bylaws. That is listed as the third bullet point under proclamations will not be issued for campaigns or events contrary to the city policies and bylaws. I would like to know what those city policies or bylaws are, or is that what we are here tonight to do?
Thank you. Councilman Reed?
I too have put a lot of thought into this, and I agree that we all should be respected and recognized. We are a community. One of the great events that we have coming up is our Gateway to the Globe, celebrating all the cultures that are around. I think part of the responsibility of the city is to promote awareness and recognition of all groups. All groups. Someone had said it earlier that if you try to be inclusive, there's someone that's always excluded. We can try our best, but we want to do our best to include as many folks as possible and recognize the various components and celebrate the various components of our community. Keep in mind, recognizing is not promoting. You don't have to recognize something to promote it. Think about, I'm sure there's a couple people in here that scroll through Facebook and scroll through Twitter. You see a post that you might not necessarily agree with. Do you get all upset and punch your computer or complain or whatever? No, you scroll past it. So there may be groups that you might not agree with. There may be groups that you're not in alignment with. That doesn't mean that they should be excluded. If you don't like it, move beyond it. It's as simple as that. You don't have to promote it. You don't have to celebrate it if you don't want to. Celebrate what's in you and what's part of you. Now, with that being said, I don't think that the various heritages that we had mentioned should have proclamations to them. It's a proclamation for membership of a group. I feel that proclamation should be to celebrate accomplishments, achievements, milestones, things that are part of the entire community, i.e., there's a couple of, I looked through the list of various months that have been assigned. January is National Blood Donor Month. February, as we saw, is Black History Month. It's also American Heart Month. March is Women's History Month. It's also American Red Cross Month. Irish Heritage Month, which is something I celebrate. Developmental Disability Awareness Month. April is Paralyzed Veterans Awareness Month. May, Asian American Pacific Heritage Month. June, Pride Month. It's also National Safety Month. July, Disability Pride Month and National Recs and Park Month. That's something that we definitely want to celebrate. August is National Picnic Month. September, National Suicide Prevention Month, Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and Hispanic Heritage Month. October, something that's near and dear to our first responders, Fire Prevention Month and Crime Prevention Month. Breast Cancer Awareness Month, And I think someone mentioned German American Month. November, Native American Heritage Month, Military Family Month, and National Diabetes Month. It's also Men's Health Awareness Month. Then lastly, December is Safe Toys and Gifts Months. You know, I'm looking forward to Old Fat Guy Month, but they haven't established that yet. When they do, I'll be first in line to celebrate. So what I'm saying is, yes, we should recognize, we should have awareness of these various items, but let's be a little bit more selective in regards to what we're actually going to promote a proclamation of. Let it be something that can be shared by the entire community, something that is beneficial to all. Because if we write proclamations for everything, then a proclamation is no longer special. It's no longer celebrating something special or something outstanding. So with that, yes, I do think that Pride Month should be on our calendar. It should be something that we have there, but I don't think it's one of the items, nor should Black History Month, Women's History Month, or any of those others celebrating a heritage should be proclaimed. Because if we do those selective ones, we're going to be missing out on so many others. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Jackson.
I'll echo Councilwoman Bennett Burton's appreciation for everyone being here tonight. We don't normally get this many people to a city council meeting. So again, thank you for being here and for being here so late. I'll keep my comments really simple. And I agree with others. To single out a few or even a few hundred means we're going to leave others out. If you go to, there's several websites about, you know, National Today or National Month or National Week, this, that, and the other. In the month of March, there is just over 800 national somethings today. Today is Mardi Gras and National March Day. Yesterday was National Anthem Day. Sunday was Texas Independence Day. So we didn't see any of that on our calendar. None of that's on the list. So 3 days into it, we're already leaving out at least a couple, what I would say very important recognitions. And so it's very easy in an attempt to recognize even all, we're going to exclude some. I like the idea of replicating a national holiday recognition list. It's short, and it takes the hard part out of trying to recognize individual groups and, again, leaving out others. It's just not practical to recognize all. February had over 300 national days. January was like 400. So I'm supportive of not having a calendar with these selected recognitions on it. We have a proclamation guideline, and that proclamation guideline is intended for those that make significant contributions to our city, celebrating our cultures, arts and culture, special achievements. It's been mentioned, I'll mention it again, we do have Gateway to the Globe coming up. And I love this event because as Councilman Roman said, Farmers Branch is a melting pot of people. And I love how we can all come together and the curious can learn about others. And there don't seem to be any walls at that event, which is really comfortable. And as a municipality, I think it's completely appropriate for us to put effort, resources, time, money into an event like that. But again, with a calendar, whether it's Pride, whether it's Black History Month or Hispanic Heritage Month, again, we're going to leave people out. And that wouldn't be fair. So I would oppose the calendar and would favor one that follows more of a established national calendar. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Neal?
Thank you, Mayor. I was just reviewing the current city's policy regarding proclamations, and one of the bullet items there, it says that we would not issue proclamations for items of political controversy, ideology, religious beliefs, or individual conviction. And yet, as I sit up here, I hear a lot of individual conviction going on regarding many of these items. And if I do nothing at all and just follow our existing policy, then proclamations would not be in order for these items that we've been discussing, so particularly the controversial ones. I do agree that the city should be inclusive of all people. And as mentioned by the other council representatives, by recognizing these few or this other group, we're ultimately going to be leaving somebody out. And I don't think that's appropriate. So I just think that the city should be inclusive of all. And I don't think it's for us to sit here and judge. I think us as council representatives and mayor are here to do the business of the residents of public safety and roads and streets and sidewalks and those kinds of things, and not delve into some of these areas that are of ideology and individual convictions, as we all have different positions on those. So I would also be in favor of what the gentleman spoke earlier about. It's just following either a state of Texas or national alignment with respect to recognition of events or holidays. So that's my couple of cents comments on this. And I would not be in support of this current calendar as stated.
Thank you very much. Any additional? Councilman Roman?
What I will say is that I don't think it makes sense to say, I am afraid that we are going to exclude one person, so we shouldn't try at all to include anyone. We should just exclude everyone because we're not able to include every single person. I don't think that makes sense. I think just as we in the city spearhead initiatives all the time in areas that we have never traversed before, we don't shy away from those experiences and say, well, we've never tried, so let's just not do it because we're afraid of doing it wrong. Our vision in the city is stated in our vision statement, and I know we're going through that. But one of the things that it says on there is we are a city that's looking forward. And if we can't look forward, if we're constantly afraid that we're going to do it wrong. We've done a lot of things wrong, a lot. When it comes to building parks, when it comes to building roads, when it comes to economic incentives. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, but we've never shied away from those. So I wonder why this and why now? And Mayor, I think, you are the one who sets the policy on proclamations here. And by the way, while, you guys have cited that the proclamation policy, excludes certain things, it also says that they may be issued for arts and cultural celebrations, which that's what this all is, or public awareness campaigns. That's what this all is. So it's included in that. And I want to remind the council that we can set whatever guidelines we want to set. I bet just as we haven't reviewed our mission statement for the city in over 20 years, I wonder when it was that we last looked at these proclamation policies. But that's neither here nor there. But one of the things that I'd like to understand is, Mayor, you're responsible for a lot of these proclamations, and love to hear your thoughts and your feedback.
Thank you very much. Happy to share. First of all, let me correct you. I did not set the policy. The city council set the policy as it relates to proclamations. And we also had a review of that back in 2024. So I will only say I get a lot of requests for proclamations. Some are from what I would call proclamation hunters that are just looking to build a resume of proclamations because they're promoting some specific cause or some such. And I work with the city manager and city secretary to sort of filter those out and decide, are they beneficial to our city or not? We've had a myriad of people who have requested a proclamation who don't live here, don't work here, don't have a business interest in the city, have never done anything to benefit the city, some of which are charities. I don't doubt their cause might be good in some other city, but they've never served Farmers Branch. And so I have the authority as mayor to exercise whether we move forward or not on that. Aside from those, there have been very few that I have not approved. We issued one tonight. Sorry, it was a month late. I have my guidelines that are pretty clearly spelled out, and I don't deviate because I don't want my personal opinion or bias to influence or override, and it should not, what the council has spelled out and the authority that I've been given. So that makes it pretty simple for me. Let me first say, I appreciate everybody that was here tonight and the calm and orderly manner in which we were able to have discussion. I applaud you all. Councilwoman Bennett said, all or nothing. I had notes written. I was going to speak about it, but I don't need to. I don't vote. And I'm sympathetic to people on both sides of this one particular item, because that's really what we're talking about. Everything else is pretty clear. But I'm afraid that if we try to take this on, we will leave somebody out, and as well-intentioned as the city might be, or as well-intentioned as this policy, new policy might be, we're going to leave somebody out, some group, individual, culture, a business, or other entity that's requesting proclamation, and that's going to offend somebody. And so we're going to fail. I'd like to stick to our core competency, which is providing public health, safety, and infrastructure to our residents. I think that's what we're good at doing. So that's my thought to you.
So, if I'm understanding correctly, Mr. Neal, you're not in favor of this because you feel it's political.
I was just stating the proclamations are not to be issued for political controversy, ideology, or individual conviction. It also mentions religious beliefs, but I'm just excluding that one. And I'd just like to address the inference of being afraid to try. I can assure you that I'm not up here being afraid to try anything. However, when I know that the outcome is failure, it seems fruitless to attempt something when you know failure is likely imminent or will be imminent in this example. In addition to that, I'd like to clarify a comment that you mentioned, that I don't have any intention to exclude anyone. I don't want to exclude anyone or any group. And by going down this path, it's likely we're going to end up doing that. And I don't want to exclude anyone. So,
But you realize that the way we've been operating as a council, we have already been excluding people. So are you saying that you're in favor of removing the things that we have done that have demonstrated a propensity to favor one specific group or religion?
I'll say it again. I have no intention to exclude anyone or any group.
But that's what's going on. So what does that mean?
Just simply means I don't intend to exclude anyone or any group.
Well, I don't intend to exclude anybody or any group by doing this calendar.
That's a statement, or is there a question in that?
Well, it's a conversation that we're having.
I really want to try to keep this on track with the policy. I don't know that we should be up here questioning others as to
Well, I want to
how
understand.
they might vote or
I want to
might or might
understand
not
people's
vote.
beliefs. I want to understand why. I want to understand what we're talking about, how maybe we can move forward. Is there any common ground? And so I can't understand someone's perspective if I don't ask questions.
I understand that, and that I'm going to say that might be a topic that can be taken up after this or elsewhere. You know, as council members, we vote yes or no on projects all the time, and you don't have to explain your answer why you're voting for something, and you certainly do not have to explain your answer when you vote against something. And there have been things that people have felt very passionately about, and members have just said no with no explanation. So I don't want to try to hammer out that policy right here now. Councilwoman.
Mayor, may I? Is it reasonable, Stacy, to ask Stacy that we postpone this until we get the state and the federal calendars to look at those? And I'd also like to see the city policies or the bylaws that are mentioned in bullet point number 3.
You'll find me that.
Is your interest in tabling this item? I'm not sure what. My thoughts would be move to reject this resolution, and then we can create another one with the appropriate federal or state holidays.
I didn't hear you. There was one point that I didn't hear. Your thoughts are?
My thoughts are, it's a compromise to reject this current resolution and make a new resolution to follow the federal/state calendar of recognitions, at which point we can get the information from city and staff regarding what those are, and we can vote on it or against
I'd like to see them before we just blanketly accept them. But I would also like to see the city policies or the bylaws.
I would agree. That's fair.
Okay. And I think that's reasonable too. I'd like to see what the federal and state are. Maybe we could put some kind of combined paper together, calendar together, I should say, that shows that, so we can adequately study that. Is that reasonable? I'm asking.
So are we tabling or are we
Well,
going to?
if we do table that, so you want to make a motion to table?
Mayor, I motion that we table R202.
Go ahead.
I motion that we table R2025-045.
I'll second that.
Very good. We have motion and a second to table this motion, or this item rather. If you would please indicate your vote. Motion fails, so we will continue discussion.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to reject resolution number 2025-045.
Second.
We have motion and a second. Any further discussion? If you would please indicate your vote accordingly. So the motion passes to reject item L2. All right. Moving on. Our next item is item L3, which, as I mentioned at the beginning, is item J7 from consent agenda, which is consider approving resolution 2025-025, authorizing the purchase of a We Go Round playground unit in the amount of $93,042 from Landscape Structures through the Buy Board Cooperative Purchasing Program for use by Parks and Recreation Department and take appropriate action. Wait one second.
No.
Do we need to take a break?
I don't know if everybody's staying for this or not.
Don't need a break. No? You need a break? April? We're almost done.
Thank you. Good evening. Tara Bradley, Parks and Recreation. This is a request for Parks and Recreation to purchase a We Go Around playground for Gussie Field Waterworth Park. What the estimated project cost for this is $93,042, which there'll be a $40,000 contribution from the Carrollton Farmers Branch Rotary Club. So that will bring down the cost to $53,042. This playground unit accommodates users of mobility aids and assistive technology. And we also will be using the Buy Board system to purchase this item. This equipment has been selected because it does pertain to individuals that are differently abled and able to use this playground and also play with others as well. Staff does recommend this playground equipment because it is best suited for that location at Gussie Park. And again, tonight we are requesting that the resolution for 2025-025 is approved for $93,042 for the installation annualization at Gussie Field Waterworth Park. This concludes my presentation. I'm available for any questions you all may have.
Thank you very much. Sir, my left, Councilman Roman, any questions? Councilman Banner? Councilman Reed? Councilman Jackson?
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Tara. I'd like to hear you say Gussie Field Waterworth Park three times real fast.
It's a little tough. I'm trying.
It's a mouthful.
So we saw a picture of this earlier in the presentation. Again, very much appreciate the Rotary Club's contribution to this. And I just thought it was important for this to get a little bit more spotlight because I think it's really cool. And for those that don't know, Gussie Field Waterworth Park is right behind City Hall, right next to City Hall here. And so if you could just explain some of the features of this amenity. They mentioned earlier that it has to be built down level with the ground. There's substantial foundation required. This is special equipment that I would imagine you don't find in very many places. And so I just would like for you to talk a little bit about that.
So it will allow, and I'll ask Mark as well to assist me with this, but it will allow for children that use mobile devices to be able to enter into the we go around with their device and allow them to be able to sit in their device and rotate around with other children as well.
So the picture is true to form, or will it be a little bit different than this, or will it be? Looks like there's one place for a wheelchair, and then there's three seats.
Mark Moffett, Parks
Hey, Mark.
Superintendent. How you doing this evening? Let me look at this one again real quick. There's three places to enter on this, and I believe will be, if I'm not mistaken, you can get your wheelchair on there, and then it'll also allow you to be on there. You also have the opportunity to get yourself out of your wheelchair, and then someone gives you the opportunity to use this.
Okay.
It's a modernized merry-go-round, all contained in one unit versus old school way. It's built down inside this apparatus.
Yeah.
And then they bring the PIP up to the concrete that's around it, so it makes
PIP
it to
is
pour in place.
pour in place.
Yes,
Okay.
it is a rubber material
Okay.
that it's glued together, kind of like a Hoya is, all the pretty colors on the ground versus
Gotcha.
using the old 5-bar style that wheelchairs aren't very good going through. This will actually allow it, because our fall zone that's out there right now is 5-bar, but this piece of equipment will allow us to have the PIP to be able to allow children of needs that will be able to get into this.
Okay. Very good. Thank you
Yes,
very
sir.
much.
Thanks again for the presentation. So the cost to the city is the difference between the 93 and the 40. So basically the city would pay the 50, remaining 53,000.
Yes, sir.
Okay. That's all I have, Mayor. Thanks.
Any other questions on this item? Okay, this item is an action item.
Mayor, I'll move to approve resolution number 2025-2020-025 as presented.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have motion and second. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next is item M, which is to take any action necessary as a result of the executive session. Councilman Jackson?
Mayor, I move to approve an extension to the current incentive agreement with OTH Partners to allow for a construction commencement date of December 31, 2025, and authorize city staff to negotiate and execute the agreement.
Second.
Thank you. Motion and second. If you would, please indicate your vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. That concludes our regular city council meeting. We did not finish our study session earlier, so we are going to do that right here, but I'm going to take a 10-minute break, and then we will reconvene to finish items C8, 9, 10, 8, 9, and 10. Thank you. And we're back. Thank you very much. Our next item is study session item C8. Discuss the formation and duties of the Farmers Branch Local Government Corporation.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm here this evening just to provide a brief overview on the City of Farmers Branch's local government corporation. It's been requested that we kind of review how the corporation came into existence, what the corporation's function is within the city, and of course for me to be happy to answer any questions in this discussion. First and foremost, the local corporation is authorized by statute. This is an entity that cities and counties are authorized to create to facilitate development projects. Typically, those development projects would be in the nature of public-private partnerships, whereas this type of corporation is an actual independent entity. It is a private nonprofit organization. The statutes originally were created to allow for development projects primarily in transportation and road construction, highways, bridges, those types of things. However, many years ago, the statute was expanded to include all types of economic development purposes and basically anything that can help bring public-private partnerships into the mix to finance and develop necessary and important public facilities. There are several local corporations used throughout the state in many cities. Houston's one of the cities. Just as an example, they have, and it was an interesting fact, but about a quarter of all the active LGCs are created and maintained by the city of Houston. And they use them for a wide range of activities, including parks improvements, forensic science, downtown park improvement districts, as well as they have organizations for general economic development, the traditional through what we call 380 development, and a variety of other services that they provide for their community. In Farmers Branch, we are a member of what we call a multi-city local government corporation, which is separate and distinct from the Farmers Branch local government corporation that we're discussing. And that is, of course, INTEC, as we would call it, which is the North Texas Emergency Communications Facility and company. And that's an example where multiple cities come together with the purpose of creating one of these entities to not only finance the development of this joint communication center, but also to jointly operate and fund that center. The INTEC has its own executive director. It obviously has a board of directors that are comprised of city managers of the participating cities. And it's been very successful over the years in its deployment of communication services for these partnering neighboring cities, both saving money, I think, for the local communities and providing expanded service for the public safety personnel and the public safety agencies involved. Just a quick slide on how we create local government corporations. It's a very simple process, and in 2006 is when the City of Farmers Branch created the Farmers Branch Local Government Corporation. It's essentially the same as creating any other entity in Texas, except for the City Council itself takes the action to approve the creation of the entity. At that point, the city can go and file articles of incorporation, would adopt bylaws, would appoint a board of directors, and the entity itself would be established as an independent entity at that point, which is basically under the oversight of the City Council. Now, as I've mentioned a couple times, these corporations are standalone entities. They're not government entities. We would consider them, and they're often categorized as a private foundation because they are nonprofit entities. However, they can be used and are often used by cities to perform basically an extension of city government, whether it be by financing public facilities through the issuance of bonds, which would be backed by city taxes, or whether it be by being what we'd call a conduit entity to help the cities acquire property and or sell property and or expend economic development funds for specific projects in cooperation and in concert with private developers. one of the things that does distinguish the Farmers Branch and any local government corporation, I should say, from a completely third-party independent foundation is the fact that this is they are required to follow the Public Information Act, and they are required to comply with TOMA, or the Texas Open Meetings Act. So again, those corporations, while independent, are operated under the same transparency laws as the city itself. And on that point, the city itself is really, for all intents and purposes, the manager of the corporation. The city appoints all the boards, approves an annual budget, and of course is responsible for the issuance of any debt that's issued in the name of the local government corporation. And oftentimes, if depending on how cities use local government corporations, they will enter into more formal agreements, interlocal agreements, where the cities will also provide staffing services if and when necessary. Obviously, share in any accountings and audits and professional services, and also share in the participation in overseeing projects, public improvement projects, construction projects, those types of things. In the situations where those corporations are used more actively in development, in the area of development. So what does Farmers Branch use its corporation for? Historically, it has been used for some of the various real property programs that the city has. For instance, the demo rebuild program, which was briefly discussed earlier this evening, and some other programs. And that's because state law for local government, or for cities, state law prohibits cities from directly selling property to individual developers outside of a public auction process. However, cities can provide and sell property to independent foundations who can then work with developers to develop projects within the community. And as mentioned a few minutes ago, these economic development or these local government corporations are considered under law independent foundations. So they therefore allow cities, and many cities have these, to sell the property to the foundation first, and then of course under the city's control, the property can then go to whatever development purpose or project that it's intended to go for, without having to go through the statutory public bidding process, which is required under the local government code for what I would call a traditional property sale. In the transaction that we're talking about, there's basically 3 documents that we prepare, and this is something that council's seen before. There's a purchase and sale agreement between the city and the local government corporation, where the city, of course, agrees to sell to the corporation the property. There is then a simultaneous purchase and sale agreement between the corporation and the end user developer, whoever that may be, and where the property, when it's closed, it goes immediately to the developer, only passing through the corporation. And then finally, to ensure, obviously, and this is a very common practice and one that Farmers Branch has always adhered to, when we go through these transactions, it is not an outright sale of the property. It comes with what we call a restriction agreement, where we outline the terms of that development. And obviously, if those terms, because it is a restriction agreement that is filed in the property records and attaches to the property, if it is not built or developed, or the developer does not perform in the ways that it has promised the city, then the city has the right to just reacquire that property and take it back. And then obviously can do whatever it desires with that property at that point. So the clawback provisions that are contained within the restriction agreement are always present in these types of transactions. And this is and again, my tenure with the city is relatively short at this point, but as I understand it, and in talking with prior council, who I know very well, who was more active in this, in the legal side of the Farmers Branch Development Corporation, this has traditionally been the use, and pretty much the limited use, that the Farmers Branch Local Government Corporation has been engaged in, is helping to administer these property development programs, the demo rebuild program, and the real property sales that the city engages in. That said, I think the conversation today is really one of just informational, but also if if council desires to, I guess, expand and or kind of what I would call formalize the local government corporation. One of the things we could do, which we have found that we haven't done at this point, is to just put an interlocal agreement together, essentially documenting what services the town provide, the city provides to the corporation, and vice versa, the corporation to the city. This isn't necessarily to increase or decrease or change what we currently do or use the do with or use the local government corporation for. However, this would just formalize the responsibilities in an interlocal agreement. One of the other things that can also do is obviously that can set out, who's going to perform and do the budgeting process and pay for the annual audit to the extent that would be needed, and those types of things. There's very, very few expenditures needed for local government corporation at this point, but there are some annual maintenance costs, which I believe the corporation has some residual funds that it uses for that. But obviously on a go-forward basis, having a clear understanding of what, if any, participation and how the city participates and provides services to the corporation would probably be a benefit for everyone involved. So, but I'm happy to, that's the presentation. I'm happy to certainly address any questions the council may have on the item.
Thank you. Council, any questions? Councilwoman Bennett?
Okay, this is very important. The reason I asked for this is because right as I rolled back on, it became active again, and lots of questions from people. And I wanted the residents in full transparency to hear it from you, what it does and what it is. So we do not have a budget right now, correct, for it? This may be a Ben question.
I would have to defer to staff if we have an actual budget, but
there's not a budget for it. There's some residuals left in an account that's being researched and audited from a long time ago. For about 40,000 that's sitting in an account. It's reflected in the city's budget, though.
Okay.
They don't have their own budget.
Okay, so that would be getting the EIN and setting that up, having personnel assigned to it. Is this what we're looking to do?
From the count, however we want to go forward with it, it's a limited use in its current function. Some of the examples you saw were LGCs that were carrying out functions of government. So they have staff and arms and internal service needs. This one is used so infrequently, and depending on what the council's future is with land and acquisitions, it may become very inactive for a very long time again.
Okay. But it still does house Camelot, correct?
House Camelot.
Underneath it.
I'd have to check my records on that one, but
it does. And for whatever bizarre reason, but not the mineral rights. So Buckman Acquisitions, you may not know who this is, Ben. I'm asking this so residents understand as they look at some of the houses and the lots that are coming forward, and they do their own due diligence. So they understand, they can come back to this meeting and they can see and hear that we said it out loud. Buckman Acquisitions is?
it's when we're purchasing lots through the Renaissance program. That's the purchasing arm that does that. So it doesn't say City of Farmers Branch.
Okay.
It makes it property's values stay more manageable.
Okay. All right. Sorry, I'm asking very clearly so they can come back and actually we can say we said that out loud. Okay, and then let's see. As we move these through, and there's not, well, there is a $40,000 account out there that we're working out from years ago. When we're going to closing, there's not a check made out to this organization. It always comes directly into the city, correct?
Can we pause for just 1 second?
Sure.
Wait, isn't this an open meeting where we should have open discussions?
Yeah, I'm not sure what the discussion going on, but yeah, I will go check on that. So
Thank you. Go ahead, Councilwoman.
So as we transition the land in and then back out, the funds do not go into this account, they come directly to the city, correct?
I will say I have not looked at a transaction as far as the funding to know, but yes, for all intents and purposes, it comes directly to the city. It may, again, simultaneously pass through a different account, but it ultimately goes directly to the city.
Okay, that's all. I just wanted everybody to know.
Thank you. Okay. Councilman Reed, any questions? Okay. Councilman Jackson? Okay. Councilman Neal?
Can you tell me who the current board of directors are on this?
I have the list. I believe it is Councilman Bennett Burton, Mayor Lynn, Ben Williamson, and there are two other staff members. I cannot, at the top of my head, remember which.
Pam DeHaan, I believe. Jessica.
Okay. Yes. Sorry.
And how are they chosen or reelected or rechosen? How was it? Just from
the city
council? That's all I have.
Thank you. Okay. Anything else over here? No. Whit, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. Next up is C9, receive an update from the mayor and council members regarding board liaison information from outside organizations and other meetings attended. Councilman Roman. Councilwoman. Councilman Reed. I'll come back. Councilman Jackson.
Mayor, are you going to give an update on the Metro Crest legislative days trip that was made?
Mhm.
Are you going to give the update on the Metro Crest legislative days trip that was made?
I was going to touch on it, but
okay, good. No, that's
yeah.
good. You're better to do that than I think.
Councilman Neal. Okay, I'll go ahead and go, and then we can come back to you if need be. Okay. A busy time since the last council meeting. So first of all, I'd like to again congratulate Lieutenant Battle and Sergeant Goodrum on their promotions. They had police promotion ceremony for that. Our Metroplex, our local area mayors, we had our meeting to discuss DART situation. Of course, we meet every month. This is Addison, Carrollton, Coppell, Farmers Branch. We've been including Irving, and we had special guests from Louisville. And so this situation, if you've been keeping up with DART in the newspaper and seeing what's going on, it's becoming a little more involved. DART is supposed to be here at the next council meeting to make a presentation, and we will get more information on that. Of course, we had the North Texas Crime Commission meeting. Chief Chief McCoy and I attended that, and very informative hearing about the North Texas HIDA, which is a sort of a separate organization, almost like the Joint Task Force. I'm not going to get too deep into that, but they're working on stuff in our neck of the woods, as well as every place else in North Texas. Chapel Hill Prep, I attended the SBDM meeting, which is a site-based decision-making meeting that they have. There are a couple of events that are coming up. March 7th is Career Day at Chapel Hill. Chief, I think the fire department's supposed to be there. Okay. And we might want to make sure somebody from police is there. And then on May 15th, they'll have a big public meeting at the school to let folks know what's going on, sort of recap the year over at Chapel Hills. Of course, we had our board and commission banquet. Thank you, everybody who attended that. I really want to compliment city staff because I think they did an outstanding job in presentation. The room looked great. The food was really good. And everybody that was there had a really fun time. Wish we had more awards to present. It was sort of a short ceremony, but I think the biggest thing was people getting together and being able to be recognized for their service on the various boards and commissions. I had a meeting with Superintendent Elridge from the school district, a result of which was the presentation that you saw earlier today. And those decisions or discussions will continue with the school district, uh, especially as it relates to school closure. Again, I had a bunch of questions, but in the interest of time, I didn't want to get into all that and dragged it out further. But I think it's important that we know exactly what's happening with the school district so we can eliminate any misinformation that's floating around. And there does seem to be some misinformation about the district. The Citizens Police Academy Alumni Association had a meeting last week they're trying to get organized with fundraisers and whatnot for establishing this alumni association. And so there's a couple of initiatives that they're going to take on, and I'm excited about the job that they're doing to help build that organization. Of course, the City Council as a whole had our first meeting as a strategic planning session uh, as we get ready to go into the 25-26 budget. And we'll have more meetings as it relates to that. Last week, I was part of a group who went to Austin for a legislative trip. We met with our state senator, Tan Parker, and our state representatives, Rafael Anchia and Cassandra Garcia Hernandez. Very informative. Uh, it's always good when we can have an opportunity to have their ear, even if it's for a short time, to talk about things that are important to Farmers Branch. We had, I believe it was 10 business owners that were there, and they had an opportunity to ask questions and whatnot. So really good trip. And then we heard from some folks who run various state agencies like the Facilities Commission, the State Preservation Board, the Texas Veterans Commission, and we heard from Freeman F. Martin, who is the new director at the Texas DPS. And so that was really interesting. One thing that we heard, which I would encourage everybody to take note of, was from the comptroller's office regarding unclaimed property. You might think you know where all your money is. You might be surprised to find out that you're on a list where somebody owes you money. And claimittexas.com, right? Claimittexas.com is the website to go to and look up and see if you're owed money. I got $130. 300? Okay. So that was really interesting. And I did ask the fellow who made the presentation to us, I said, what's the most money that somebody's ever filed a claim for? $11.1 million. I would think if you were owed $11.1 million, you'd probably know about that. But it was unclaimed for a long, long time. So again, go to that website, see if there's anybody out there that owes you money. The North Texas Commission has put together a committee on destination gaming, and they had their first meeting last week. I am a member of that committee. There's about 28 people on that committee from all walks of life and pro, con, and undecided regarding destination gaming. It was a very mixed group of people, and there were some folks that were very outspoken against destination gaming. There is one of the folks I would say is an expert because his family used to own the Sands Hotel and he lives in Lakewood. And so very interesting hearing him talk about this. Obviously, this is going to be a topic for many upcoming sessions of our state legislatures, they debate this issue, and at some point in time, it's going to come up to the taxpayers to decide. So, but I think I'm really excited to be on that committee because I was just there to learn, and very interesting. And then last thing I had to report is Friday I received a call from Dallas County Commissioner Andy Summerman, who's our commissioner, regarding DART and the possibility of entering into some kind of mediation with DART, the RTC, and the 6 cities that passed resolutions to lower their contribution to DART. I think it's always good when we can get together and talk. The commissioner is interested in facilitating a meeting that might help us get to a point that is acceptable for all of the DART member cities, but at the same time, there is a there's 2 bills on the Texas legislature's floor dealing with the financing of DART. And I'd like to think that we could solve our issue with DART, we meaning the member cities, and do that better than the legislature having to step in and do that for us. So more to come on that. DART will be making a presentation at the next city council meeting to us. So that's all I have. Did you?
Went to the promotion ceremony, went to commission board. We had coffee with a cop Saturday morning at PJ's over on Marsh.
Midway.
Midway, excuse me. Over on Midway. Great event, well attended. So I love those things, getting out and having the residents come out and mingle with the police and chat. So it was exciting event.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yes, sir. Councilman
I
Jackson.
do have one meeting to report on. Last week, Councilman Neal and I attended the ribbon cutting for Dallas Medical Center's new heart cath lab. If you've never toured a heart cath lab before, it is fascinating. I hope I never have to tour it again under other circumstances, but this time was very impressive, and very impressive for us to have that here in Farmers Branch. Lots of interesting, cool technology, and so just know that right here in our little city of Farmers Branch, we have some pretty high-tech medical capabilities for those folks having heart issues. And thank you to Dallas Medical Center for investing in our city.
Absolutely. Thank you. Next up is item C10, review and discuss future agenda items. Councilman Roman.
I'd like an update on the Mercer Crosser median transition.
On the Mercer Crossing. Yep. Councilwoman Bennett.
I still want to know what those policies are on bullet point number 3.
Councilman Reed.
Nothing at this time.
Councilman Jackson.
Nothing at this time, Mayor.
Councilman Neal.
Nothing at this time, thanks.
Very good. Then I believe that concludes our business for this evening. So with that, we will adjourn at 9:07. Thank you very much, everybody, for attending.